Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm joined by our newsletter editor, Scott Dickensheets. Hey, Scott.
Hey, happy to be here.
And a special repeat guest, Joey Lovato. Hey, Joey.
Hello. How's it going?
He's the multimedia editor at the Nevada Independent. And we're getting into all kinds of drama in the news today, from football to Judge Fiore and flights and more. So, it's Friday, January 13th, 2023. I'm Sonja Cho Swanson, and this is CityCast Las Vegas. Okay, Scott, I gotta be honest. I think out of our entire team, you probably know the most about football. So I'm gonna need your help understanding what's going on with Derek Carr. Why is his name in the news right now?
Oh, well, his name is in the news because he's been, the sort of longtime quarterback of the Raiders, and it's pretty clear that the team is about to part ways with him. More than likely, I think there are probably a few dark horse scenarios in which he might stay, but more than likely he's out of here, and so that's caused angst inside and outside the organization.
Yeah, I saw that he released a farewell note to the team yesterday. It sounded pretty solemn, so it seems like he at least believes that he's on his way out.
Yeah, and that seemed pretty clear when a couple games ago, with 2 games left in the season, the new coach, Josh McDaniels, benched him in favor of a young quarterback, Jason Stidham. And so that was a pretty clear sign that his days as a Raider were numbered.
From what I understand, the Raiders have not had a great season. But here's what I don't understand. Why does the quarterback bear the brunt of the responsibilities for this tough season? I mean, I thought that he was a pretty good quarterback from what I understood.
Well, first things first, he was a good quarterback in some ways. He had some really gaudy numbers. I think he is the Raiders' all-time passing leader. But has he led them to the postseason? I think last year was the first time they've been to the postseason in recent memory. And that's really in the NFL, the more decisive marker of success, whether or not you have playoff success. You can rack up all kinds of great numbers in the regular season, but if you don't drag your team towards the Super Bowl, then those numbers are of limited value.
But there's so many players in a team, so many managers, so many factors. Why pinpoint the quarterback?
For a number of reasons. A, quarterbacks in most cases are the highest or one of the highest paid players on the team. Therefore, they're paid to be scapegoats, if you want to look at it that way. But also, the offense runs through the quarterback. And so if the quarterback's not executing optimally and making everyone around him better, then that's usually considered a pretty easy fix. I mean, a pretty obvious fix, not easy. It's far from easy, but it's a fairly obvious place to start making changes. That's a lot of what happened here. And a lot of people are like, well, didn't he just sign a big contract in the offseason? And that's true. He signed a contract extension. But crucially, it doesn't take effect until 2023, which kind of means that this past season was Carr's one season audition to impress the new coach and general manager before this big fat contract kicks in. And so apparently, so the benching shows that they had decided, I think fairly early on, that he was not going to be the future the franchise needed.
Gotcha. Joey, do you follow football, or are you a Raiders fan?
I don't follow football too closely, but my family is from the Bay Area, and they are split Raiders and 49ers. So, yes, but I am both a 49ers fan and a Raiders fan, I would say.
Well, and I have to declare my allegiance because I am a long-suffering Broncos fan, which means the Raiders are my natural enemies in the world. So...
So you're cheering for this news.
Well, it means a lot to Las Vegas, so I'm of split mind. I want the team to do well for the city, but personally, this is all just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. So much drama. So what's next for the Raiders? Who do you think a good replacement for Derek Carr would be on the team?
Well, a lot of the betting odds, not official betting odds, but a lot of the intelligent observers are saying that Tom Brady, if he doesn't retire at the end of this season, he might be a lead horse in this race. Other names that have surfaced include Jimmy Garoppolo, who's currently with the 49ers, or Aaron Rodgers, who's with the Green Bay Packers. Garoppolo and Brady both have history with the Raiders coach Josh McDaniels from their time in New England. And one reason that makes sense that they would go for one of these sort of older established quarterbacks is that there's probably, according to observers, there's probably a 2-year window here where the nucleus of good talent that the Raiders do have, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby, they can probably keep that nucleus together for maybe 2 years. So you bring in somebody like Brady or Rodgers or Garoppolo who are experienced. They don't have to learn the ropes. There's no development time. They can max out that potential of that group before, all the usual contract negotiations and stuff start breaking them up. And the Raiders have done a terrible job in the last few years in terms of draft picks and free agency. I think it makes more sense to them to grab an established quarterback off the market and try and make something happen now rather than start a long rebuilding period.
So it's not just about the talent you get, but the timing of the talent you get. That's so interesting.
And money. I mean, a lot of what's going on with Derek Carr involves money and how much his contract will pay out and to whom and so on. All the players have these various deals and contingencies and clauses that complicate any kind of attempt to keep a team together.
Mm-hmm. Joey, what are your thoughts?
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo got injured this year for the 49ers, but I mean, Brock Purdy, who was the last draft pick, it's such a fun story. It's such like a classic sports story in my mind for the 49ers. This young kid came in and kind of took over for the seasoned quarterback. So to see Garoppolo, go to the Raiders, I'm sure. For me, it's fine because, again, I'm a fan of both teams and I like Garoppolo. So I think he would be great down there as well. I don't know how 49ers fans feel about me saying that, but Brock Purdy has been a really cool, fun sports story to watch this year. So
it sounds like you have a house divided.
Yes. Thanksgiving is always a little interesting.
Okay, well, I hope that you get a 49ers versus Raiders Super Bowl someday. I think that'd be really fun for your family. Well, let's get into the second piece of drama for the week. Michele Fiore is also in the news. Joey, what's been going on with her? Why are Las Vegas residents of Ward 6 upset with her?
Well, so Michele Fiore, former state assemblywoman from 2012 to 2016. Now she's a Las Vegas city councilwoman since 2017. She's now being appointed as a Nye County Justice of the Peace.
After losing her bid for state treasurer.
Yeah. She originally ran for state governor and then changed to state treasurer,
right.
I think, because she probably realized she wasn't going to win the governor's race. But, she's a Republican firebrand. She's backed by Trump and his base. She loves guns. She's garnered a lot of attention for being pretty outspoken about that kind of stuff. And she's also has a lot of controversies in her past, with racist comments, potentially assaulting another colleague or an altercation with another colleague.
Oh, and also standing up for the Bundys.
Yeah, standing up for the Bundys. She was investigated or is being investigated by the FBI for campaign finance issues.
So what specifically was the issue in Ward 6? If I recall correctly, the residents there were upset about the construction of a convenience store. I know it was a pretty tight vote, but the convenience store ended up getting approved 4-3, and Michele Fiore was the deciding vote. So why is this issue back in the news?
Well, the issue's back in the news because she told the Nye County officials that she has established residency in Pahrump in mid-November, right about the same time that she cast that swing vote. And so if she was not a resident of Ward 6 and was, in fact, at that point a resident of Nye County, then her vote should not count. Under the city's rules, the minute you're not a resident, you're no longer a city council person. So,
gotcha.
But Fiore's spokesperson is saying that she bought her house in Pahrump or secured her living space in Pahrump, but didn't move there officially until after the vote. So,
gotcha.
And I think that's the basis for why the Las Vegas city officials have decided not to reconsider her vote in that convenience store issue.
And this gets much more interesting when you look at it from the Pahrump angle, right? Parump's a Nye County, and the county has a 30-day residency requirement to get elected to something like the Justice of the Peace, and that's a very important word that we'll come back to in a second, elected.
Okay.
But Fiore said to the Nye County Commission that she had become a resident of the county on the 14th or 15th. That was on the record. She said 14th or 15th. She didn't specify. And then later, her attorney, who is actually failed Attorney General candidate Sigal Chadha, said that Fiore became a resident on the 17th. She then applied to the position of the Justice of the Peace on December 7th, which means that she would have been a resident of Nye County for either 20, 22, or 23 days, depending on which date is to be believed. But she's not being elected. She's being appointed.
Okay.
And the only requirement to be appointed, according to the Nye County District Attorney, is that the appointee must be eligible to vote when they're appointed to something like a township office. And so Fiore is eligible to vote. So it's a little bit of smart maneuvering on her part, really, so that she can be appointed to this position. But probably, if she didn't move there but secured residency, she could probably still vote in the city council. So it's all kind of very confusing. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, if that makes sense.
Wow. Talk about like skirting in under some deadlines here. Like this is a question of days.
Yeah.
Are there other instances of residency kind of battles in Nevada?
Yeah, Nevada's historically kind of litigious with residency controversies like this. Two that came to mind: former Democratic Assemblyman Alexander Acefa, who was indicted last year for lying about his residency and also for stolen campaign funds. And then also former Clark County Commissioner Lynette Boggs was charged with several felonies for lying about where she lived in the early 2000s. The charges said that she actually lived outside of the district that she was representing. And I believe she entered a plea deal in like 2009 or something like that.
Scott, I saw you smiling.
Oh, I just remember the Lynette Boggs case from the old days. And if I recall correctly, there were like photos of her standing in a certain doorway that was where she presumably lived and was not within the district she represented and so on. It had a certain gumshoe quality to trying to figure out where she was living and vis-a-vis where she represented.
Huh.
There have been other cases too, but those are kind of the two like most recent and notable ones that I could find.
Gotcha. Interesting. So here's what I'm curious about, because I don't want to like mischaracterize Pahrump, but it does seem kind of like a perfect fit for Fiore and sort of her kind of firebrand and political checkered past, if you will. Is Justice Fiore's new life in Pahrump kind of like a political semi-retirement, or do you guys predict that she's going to still be in the news?
Well, I'm no John Ralston. I'm no political pundit, but Fiore, like I said, is kind of a political firebrand. She's pretty outspoken, so I expect that we'll probably be seeing more of her in the future. I think the Republican Party here in Nevada is big fans of Fiore, so at least the established like leadership of the GOP party in Nevada is. I don't know how every Republican politician feels about her, but
yeah, in retrospect, it seems kind of fated that Fiore would end up in Pahrump, where guns are people too, my friend.
Yes.
But such is the nature of Michele Fiore, I think, that's a little out of the media spotlight for her, the Pahrump Justice of the Peace. And while it's, I presume she can get reelected any number of times, I suspect that the profile of that job isn't sort of high enough for her over time. And we will probably be seeing her again in some sort of statewide race, I would guess.
It is a really good job. It pays $80,000 a year plus government benefits. So I mean, that's a pretty cushy job to be in Pahrump. It's a well-paying job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And let's not forget that Pahrump actually has some interesting issues coming up. Some of that solar development projects, some of the debates around that, public lands. I mean, it's not a place without issues that are going to make some of the more high-profile news headlines. So be interesting to follow. Let's go on to our third topic. So I wanted to tell you guys about yet another kerfluffle at Harry Reid International Airport. It actually affected airports across the country. A computing program called, I'm going to hopefully pronounce this correctly, NOTAM, N-O-T-A-M, failed on Tuesday morning, preventing flight notices from being distributed to pilots. So the FAA ordered all departing flights grounded on Wednesday morning, which of course caused cascading delays across airports around the country. The Review Journal reported that about 25% of flights were delayed as of that morning in Las Vegas. But this comes on the heels of that entire flight debacle that we had over the holidays, too. So my question for you is, if you had 6 hours to kill at Harry Reid International Airport, what would you do?
In my case, I would probably just go to the bookstore and drop a bunch of money and find something to, a couple of books to flip through aimlessly while I get more and more agitated and snap and snarl at whoever's with me.
Sounds like a plan.
It's not a plan. It's just a way of being until I can get out of the airport.
Yeah. What about you, Joey?
I think I'm a very zen traveler. So, I've dealt with flight cancellations and flight delays, and it's annoying, but you kind of just deal with it. So, I mean, there's more restaurants in the Harry Reid Airport than I think there are in like all of Carson City or, the area that I live in, Reno here. So there's a lot of food options. And so I think whenever I look at those restaurants in the airport, I'm like, oh, I've never even heard of this chain. So maybe I'll try this out. So I could probably do that. And I'm a big reader too. So I could also probably find a book like Scott.
And I will say that Harry Reid does offer like some really quality people watching. And so if you're into that, there's an endless variety of people because Las Vegas is such a global destination that you can observe just like the entire parade of human pageantry going through. That might occupy a few of my hours.
Yeah. For me, I think it would depend on if you were in Terminal 1 or Terminal 3, right? Because to me, the shiny, new, gleaming Terminal 3 is kind of like the strip of the airport, right? And then like kind of like the older, darker, funky carpet Terminal 1 is like the Fremont Street experience of the airport. You know what I mean? There's like a faint smell of old popcorn in Terminal 1. It's
You don't like old popcorn?
I mean, I could get on board with an old popcorn candle. Yeah,
now,
why not?
If you're a venturesome sort, 6 hours offers the opportunity to hail an Uber out of the airport and go lark around town for a couple hours and get back in time to catch your probably once again delayed flight.
There you go. I would say if you were if it wasn't a high traffic day, if you were there on a weekday, you could Uber out. If I wanted some nature, I'd go to Sunset Park, which is right nearby, stroll, look at the birds in the water and so forth. Or if I was feeling particularly adventurous, I would actually Uber out to the area around 215 and like Durango Rainbow area. There's a ton of really good Asian food out there that's like pretty new. It's an up and coming kind of Chinatown offshoot. And I would check out some of the food out there.
Go to UNLV. It's a lovely campus.
Oh, that's true. And you know what's right there, Scott, one of your favorite museums.
Oh, yeah, the Barrack. Absolutely.
Right. Not too far from UNLV. That's right.
Can I issue a complaint about Harry Reid Airport really quick? As someone who travels in and out of there very, very frequently, I have a TSA pre-check, and that line is never open. They never let me use my TSA pre-check. I always have to go through the regular one. Yeah, it's always closed. So I don't even know what the point is. In Reno, I never have to worry about that. It's always open.
Huh. Well, complaint issued. Thank you. Speaking up for your rights, Joey.
That's right.
Well, let's wrap things up with a quick fun question. Since we're at the top of January, I'm curious, what book is at the top of your 2023 reading list?
I am about a third of the way through the Wind Up Bird Chronicles by Haruki Murakami currently.
Ooh.
It's pretty interesting.
Nice.
I will offer a reader tip. Coming out next Tuesday is a book called Extended Stay by Juan Martinez. It's a literary horror novel set in downtown Las Vegas. It has all kinds of like cool Lovecraftian sort of horror stuff happening, but it also has a real social conscience. Its protagonists are undocumented workers. And so in addition to being a horror novel, it also deals with the lives of the people that we consider invisible and sort of the pernicious effects of capitalism and so on. And Juan Martinez used to live here, so he knows what he's talking about when he writes about Las Vegas.
I read your review of it in Desert Companion, which was fantastic. Honestly, that now I'm adding it to my list, thanks to you, Scott.
Yeah, when Juan lived here, he actually did, when I was the editor of City Life back in the day, he did this amazing 4-part article about walking across Las Vegas. And it was a terrific piece. And what about you, Sonja? What's on your list?
Well, this is a book I've been meaning to read for a while. It's been on my list since it came out in the fall. It's called I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness. It's by author Claire Vaye Watkins, who grew up in the Mojave Desert and was also a fellow here at BMI. And I loved her short story collection, Battleborn, and also her first novel, Gold Fame Citrus. I'm so excited to read I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness.
And I can guarantee you won't be dissatisfied.
Okay. If it's got the Scott stamp of approval, then I know it's good.
Claire's a terrific and amazing writer, and that book it's a banger.
I got to start reading more Nevada books, apparently. I'm behind the times here.
Yeah, there we go. Well, we also like Murakami, so great choice. Well, before we go, Joey, what's on the slate for Indie Matters, the Nevada Independent podcast coming up?
Oh, man, we've got lots of fun stuff, including talks about snow and the snowplow drivers up here in northern Nevada. but also things about the Las Vegas Food Bank and a lot of other really interesting stuff. So yeah, keep an ear out for that on Indie Matters, the CityCast Las Vegas's podcast BFF.
Hear, hear. Thank you both for this wonderful conversation. I had so much fun.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonja.
That is all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our lead producer is me, Sonja Cho Swanson, and our producer is Layla Muhammad. Our newsletter editor is Scott Dickensheets, and our hosts are David Figler and Vogue Robinson. Music is by OG Moose, All the Kimonos, and Epidemic Sound. We record this show on the traditional homelands of the Nuwuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed this show, I know you did, go tell a friend, please. It means so much to us. Then rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our brilliant morning newsletter. We'll be back Tuesday morning. That's right, Tuesday, not Monday. Monday's a holiday, with more news from around the city. Take care.
For Indie Matters, the friend, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call it, the companion podcast, because that's not what it is.
No, not a companion.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Our podcast BFF.
Let's start over.
Yeah.
Yeah, our podcast BFF.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.